Hi, Leah.
Hi Nick, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, fine, thanks.
Good. Thank you for letting me come and see you teach the other day. It's always really nice to see how you're progressing. You can't really see, but I've got my laptop here open to Step Lab, so got all your kind of information here. So your previous action step was actively show that you are scanning and monitoring the pupils during the starter activity. Which I think you met. So well done for that. I noticed during the lesson that you were really actively scanning the whole classroom, um, looking for that pupil engagement during the starter task. What impact did you find that had on the climate of the lesson?
Um, so I got a few sort of funny looks the first time I did it because I think they weren't used to me um, so clearly watching them. But once everyone got used to it, they seemed to just sort of realise, well, actually, Miss Wooldridge can see what we're doing and she's expecting us to be following instructions. So I feel like there's less fidgeting and less sort of fiddling with pens and that sort of thing. And also some of the students who I think used to sit back a little bit more and feel like they could get away without engaging have started to get involved a bit more because I think they just feel like they're being held to account. So it's been really useful so far.
Yeah, great. And that's exactly what we're hoping for. You know, by setting that standard, it means that pupils know you're keeping an eye on them and they're able to therefore reorientate their attention back to working independently, knowing that that oversight is in place. If we look at the success criteria that Step Lab sets out, one of them was exaggerated body language, and you were definitely doing that. You were really leaning your whole upper to really show you were looking, making that scanning really obvious. And one of the other success criteria is standing somewhere central and visible. And again, you were stood at the front, you could see the whole class. So I think you achieved that as well. So well done.
Thanks.
So the action step for this week, because we're on to module B3. So our action step is going to be around chunking and instructions in sequence. So the action step, which is, again, it's on Step Lab, so I'll say it to you now, but you can check it once we're done, is to deliver instructions that are broken down into manageable steps and ordered sequentially.
Okay.
Have you got your laptop there?
I have, yeah. So
yeah.
B3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the success criteria for this are on Step Lab as well. Do you want to just have a look at your end and read them out to me so that I know that you know what we're looking for in today's practice?
Yeah, so I've got instructions are in a logical order. Instructions are clearly separated into steps. Your teacher delivers instructions from a visible point in the classroom. Your teacher's posture is strong and open, and your teacher's voice is strong and clear. So,
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So those are the same success criteria that we'll be referring to when we have a look at practice. So now that you've got an idea of what this should include, I'm going to show you a model of what it would look like. So it's a set of instructions for what you want pupils to do in order to get ready for a group reading task.
Okay.
So I'm just going to move. So I'm going to stand at the front of the classroom as I would give instructions. Okay. When I say go, I want you to get out your green pen, ruler, and workbook and place them on the desk. Remove anything else from the desk and put it into your bag. Turn to workbook page number 4, and then look at me to let me know you are ready. Okay, go. So, bearing in mind those success criteria that we've looked at, can you explain to me why that model might be successful?
Yeah, so I can see what you mean about clearly separated steps. So it was like, here's your first instruction, and then you almost even gave a little pause in between. So it was kind of like, do this, and then you're going to do this, and then you're going to do this. So it was really clearly chunked. And like you said, you'd be standing where everyone could see you, but you were really straight and your voice was really clear. So it felt like, everyone in the room would know that they needed to be watching and concentrating on that.
Yeah, so all those success criteria are around gaining and maintaining attention, whilst also making sure each part of the instruction is really distinct. So now we need to talk a little bit about the difference between my model and what we saw you deliver in the classroom. So first of all, just talk me through, how do you kind of go about preparing for and delivering your instructions at the moment?
I don't know if I do prepare very much, to be honest. So like I know what I want them to be doing, because I did spend some time at the start of the year thinking about what I wanted the routines to look like. And you know, we did some of that in induction. But I think when I explain it, I probably just more kind of, I don't know, do it all at once. I definitely
One
don't.
big instruction.
Exactly. I don't kind of break it down in the same way that you did.
So how you kind of touched on it there, how is the model that I showed you different, and what sort of impact do you think that difference will have?
Well, it's just, it was much clearer, but you managed to do it by saying probably less than I do. And I think sometimes I get quite frustrated when it feels like I've given an instruction and people aren't following it. But actually looking at the difference, maybe my instructions are just quite hard to follow sometimes.
Because they're not broken down.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, by chunking them into smaller pieces, you're giving more bite-sized pieces of information for students to work with, which means that they've got less to try and process at any one time, and they can work on that small piece of information without being overwhelmed. So that's really important. Did you notice anything else?
Not really.
So something you actually mentioned a little bit earlier, which is the idea that these instructions were sequenced, so they went in the order that I want the students to be completing them.
Yeah.
So that way the students can work through them in the same order that I've given them, and it's quite a logical progression for those instructions to go through.
Yeah, no, I can see that, because I think sometimes maybe I kind of bounce backwards and forwards a bit, especially if I think something's really important. I'll kind of keep going back to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tempting, and you know we've all done it. It's a common habit. So I showed you that specific example of the model kind of focused around setting up a group reading task. Can you think of any other specific scenarios in which you might use it in the classroom?
So I think it would be really useful for me at the end of the lesson. So that routine for everyone getting packed up and then standing ready for the bell to go, because that often gets quite muddled, and there's a few different steps to it. But I guess just any instructions really. Like, I think it would be really useful when they're kind of transitioning, if they're going, you know, when they go from working in groups to working independently, or when I'm kind of setting up what I want them to do during an independent activity, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. All those times you've mentioned, and basically, like you said, any time that you're giving instructions to the students, as at that time you want them to just be concentrating on the instructions. So, for example, some other examples might be when you're getting them to end a task. So if you've set them up working independently and then you're trying to get them to end and focus on you, that could be another time you might use this. And also, you know, the idea there is that when you're giving the instructions, they're clearly segmented, and ordering them means that they can comply with them much more easily, as they can concentrate on each individual part of those instructions rather than receiving a whole jumble that kind of goes backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
So now we're going to move on to the practice step. So this is really important because it gives you a chance to rehearse the action step that I've given you, to make sure you're getting it right with my guidance, and also just to make sure that you're having a go at doing it before you get into the classroom, because we know that, you know, the classroom environment is the worst time to be trying something new for the first time. So I'm going to give you some time to script, and then we'll read through your script together, have a look at it, and to make sure it's all right before you practice. And then I'll give you some feedback based on the practice using the success criteria we've discussed from step.
Okay.
So you're going to come up with a set of instructions that you commonly use. You're going to write them out into broken down steps that are manageable for students to achieve. Make sure they make sense in terms of the order and sequence, and you might even want to number them.
Okay.
Any thoughts on what task you're going to want to make those instructions for? What part of the lesson?
So I think I will go for the packing up at the end of the lesson.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to try that one. And I'm going to steal your first line when you said, when I say go.
Yeah, so that's fine. Yeah, magpie, whatever you want, as primary teachers say. Okay, so take some time now to script out. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay. Okay, I think I've got it.
Okay, do you want to just read them out for me for now?
Yeah, so when I say go, I want you to, 1, leave your books on your tables, open at today's work. 2, put everything else into your bags. And 3, stand behind your chairs, ready to go. And then it'd say kind of, okay, off you go.
Sure. You might want to change ready to go to ready to be dismissed, just so you're not using that word go because you said when I say go. But yeah, that sounds great. That script does exactly what we're looking for. It's well chunked. The instructions are in a nice logical order. So that looks good. So now we are going to practice you delivering those instructions.
Okay, do you want to stand up?
Yeah, stand up just like you would when you're doing it normally. So remember, you're going to stand where the whole class can see you. Keep a nice, open, neutral body language, and make sure your voice is nice and clear when you give those instructions.
Okay, is it okay if I have my...
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So when I say go, I want you to, 1, leave your books open on your tables at today's work so that I can mark it. Remember, if you take it home with you, I won't be able to mark today's work. 2, everything else into your bags. 3, stand behind your chairs, ready to be dismissed. Off you go.
Okay, want to take a seat again? So body language and voice were great. Nice, open, neutral body language, very kind of, kept nice and still while looking around, and your voice was nice and clear. Instructions 2 to 3 were great. Instruction 1, though, I noticed you ad-libbed something. So you added, keep your books open, because I need to mark your work, and if you put them into your bag, I'm not going to be able to mark your work. And I noticed actually going off on that meant that you weren't actually quite sure what you were going to be saying next. Did you notice?
Yeah, I got a bit lost. I think I just say that out of habit now because it happens quite a lot.
Yeah, that's it's understandable, but we want to make sure that we're keeping that economy of language, because if you add more instruction, you're reducing the clarity of what you actually want them to do. You really just want to stick to the instruction. You don't need to go into justifying why you want to do that. So let's have another go and stick really tightly to your script.
Okay. When I say go, I want you to, 1, leave your books on your tables open at today's work. 2, everything else into your bags. 3, stand behind your chairs, ready to be dismissed. Okay, off you go.
Great. Yeah, so that was spot on. You really met the criteria we discussed. There was the clarity of instruction. You sequenced it into it was a good sequence. It was chunks that were manageable. They were nicely numbered, and you kept that economy of language, which was really good.
That's better.
Yeah, it does work a lot easier, doesn't it, when it's kept tight like that. Let's practice it one more time so that you can build fluency and are confident of actually applying this correct practice in the classroom.
Okay. Right, I'm going to try and do it without my notebook this time to see if I can. When I say go, I want you to, 1, leave your books open on your table at today's work. 2, put everything else into your bags. And 3, stand behind your chairs, ready to be dismissed. Okay, off you go.
That's great. Really, really good. So I know it seems a bit silly to be practicing it again when you got it right that second time, but by over practicing it, it means you've got a bit more experience of doing and saying these words. Yeah. And it just means that when you deploy it in the classroom, you've got a little bit of practice behind you ready for doing that. So well done for that. Thank you for being really willing to do that. So now we just need to think about our next steps, which is all about how you embed this action step into your practice. So when are you going to be able to use this next in your teaching, and how am I going to be able to see it when I come and observe next week?
I mean, I think I'm going to start using it tomorrow, because I have that routine pretty much the same at the end of every lesson. So I'll definitely start using it tomorrow when I've got year 7. That will be really useful for them, I think. But yeah, I'll just sort of do it throughout the week as much as I can. So yeah, when you come back, I'll have a go at that at the end of the lesson.
Yeah, great. So yeah, I'll come in for the last 15 minutes. Obviously, I can still observe what's going on in the rest of the lesson preparation for the next coaching, but it means that I can see this in practice as the last instruction you give to the class. Okay, that's great, Leah. Thank you so much for all your work today. Don't forget, this is all on Step Lab, so you can log in, you can see the criteria, you can see the action step. That's all there for you. And I'll see you in your observation next week.
Great. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.